On my second channel, I play a lot of Friday Night Funkin', and there's this one mod I've been gaming hard called versus Sonic.exe. It's got some tough songs, and it took me getting beat to death by it repeatedly over the course of 2 weeks to finish it, but when I finally did it, it felt really good. I felt like I had completed a very long journey, like I had really conquered something.
Holy fucking shit! Holy fucking shit!
And beating that mod kind of reminded me of my relationship with the original Sonic.exe creepypasta. I used to be scared shitless of that thing. I thought it was real and going to actually kill me. And here I am 10 years on, wondering how I ever thought that shit was scary. Hi again, guys, and creepypastas were a huge part of any terminally online preteen's life in the early to mid 2010s, and you know, I was one of those. Crazy stuff, I know. My life has come full circle since then. I used to listen to Mudahar read creepypastas, and now I went on his podcast. Epic! Another thing that's changed is now I'm a sellout. Did you know my new song, The Backrooms, just dropped? Available to stream everywhere? Here's a snippet.
It's red on my chest like a Zangoose. Everyone wanna fuck a mom like Chris Chan do. Most of what I do, I don't really think or plan through. I got trash taste like YouTubers in Japan do.
Seriously though, I've been working on this track for a while and I'm really happy with how it came out. It's the first link in the description and it would genuinely mean a lot if you gave it a listen. Also, if you enjoy this video, there'll be this big card at the end that you can click or tap to take you to another one like it. That would also help me out a lot. Doing either of those things would make me bust on command. Now, no creepypasta was more painfully carved into the shapes of my brain wrinkles like Sonic.exe was. As a kid, I was at the perfect unholy intersection of fandom and cringe to be mortified by that thing. It's not a secret, but I don't bring it up often because it's embarrassing, but I used to be a really big Sonic fan.
You freaking fricks!
Kinda still am, but I was definitely worse when I grew up on that shit. I had Sonic fan characters, I defended Sonic Unleashed with my dying breath, and if you knew the online communities I frequented as a preteen, you'd suddenly understand, oh, so that's why he's like that. One of the Sonic fandom's favorite things are the alternate versions and forms of Sonic. They're super, hyper, dark spine, ones that we made the fuck up because we thought they sounded cool. You name it, if it's appeared in any form of obscure Sonic media, there was probably porn of it. And Sonic.exe was no exception, both with the porn and the community's obsession with it. His name was spoken with fear in the depths of DeviantArt journal posts. In the original story went a little something like this. So we got this guy named Tom. Let's just assume it's Tom Holland because he's the go-to male protagonist actor these days, and he's a big Sonic fan. You know, like everyone else on Earth is. He gets a package from his boy Kyle, and it has a letter in a CD case inside of it. The note is just Kyle losing his shit saying, bro, you gotta destroy this game for me. It's driving me nuts. Please destroy this game. And Tom's all like, damn, that's crazy. I'm not gonna do that. The disc is blank except for Sonic.exe scribbled on top of it, and like a dumbass, Tom puts it in his computer to see what it is. And he's absolutely ecstatic to find out that it's the first Sonic the Hedgehog game, which makes no fucking sense considering how many times Sega has re-released that bitch. But then things start getting weird. The title image isn't right, the sky is black, the water is hyper-realistic blood red, the Sega 1991 text says Sega 666 instead, and worst of all, Sonic has pitch black eyes with red dot pupils that are staring straight at Tom. It's like they're looking at him through the screen. He presses the button, he continues, and the Sonic 3 save screen pops up, which weirds Tom out, because after all, this is supposed to be the first Sonic game. That's definitely the most out-of-place thing Tom has seen so far. It's even crazier because Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Robotnik, the villain, are all playable? Tom comes to the conclusion that this is just a hack game, a creepy one, but an ultimately harmless one. You know, if you ignore his buddy apparently going into psychosis over playing the damn thing. Honestly, the concept of that is not as scary today as it was back then, because these days, playing a normal Sonic game will do that to you. So Tom picks Tails and starts progressing through the level, and as he goes further and further, shit gets a little wacky. There's dead, bloody animals on the floor, more and more of them show up the further he gets. Tails seems to break the fourth wall and look through the screen in fear. He gets more uncomfortable as the level continues, until they eventually see Sonic with his bleeding eyes, who just straight up kills Tails. There is no foreplay, he just knocks the rings out his corpse. Tom gets sent back to the character select screen after that, and Tails is now dead. You can't play as him, and the corpse is grayed out with black eyes and blood-red pupils too. Tom is in disbelief, not at the visuals, but because Sonic is supposed to be Tails' best buddy, and he just killed him. Talk about a backstabber, am I right? Instead of, I don't know, stopping, Tom escalates and picks Knuckles. The level they play in is called You Can't Run, and the iconic Final Fantasy Kefka laugh plays through it. It pretty much plays out the same way. The level gets creepier the further in you get. Knuckles looks unnerved and breaks the fourth wall, looking at Tom through the screen as if asking him to stop. But because he's Knuckles, he doesn't doesn't chuckle. He's more like manly and stoic about it or whatever. Eventually, Knuckles finds Sonic too, and Tom tries to put up a fight by punching him, but to no avail. Sonic just toys with Knuckles until he falls to his knees crying, having gone insane, apparently. Sonic talks directly to Tom after that, saying, "So many souls to play with, so little time. Wouldn't you agree?" This is, of course, taking clear inspiration from the meta movie that would come out half a decade after the fact. Back on the character select screen, Knuckles is dead too. Definitely an L for him. But Tom is smart about it this time, so he decides now is a good time to take a nap. But it's unfortunately not a restful sleep, because during it, Tails and Knuckles whine to him about how he missed the last Yeezy drop and is a bum for still wearing his Sketcher-looking ass shoes. After that, Sonic comes in with that big Kefka laugh, telling Tom that he killed Kyle because he dressed like someone who lives in a retirement home, and that he's coming for Tom next for looking ugly as hell. Tom wakes up after that, and like a dumbass again, he decides to play the game more and picks Robotnik this time, where the level is just ... This level gets crazy spooky and scary per usual, and when they run into Sonic, it goes downhill so fast, because a hyper-realistic image of Sonic.exe with the blood coming out of its eyes pops up on screen. You can even make out the individual strands of fur as how detailed it is. It's actually the imagery they based the original Sonic movie design off of. The text "I am God" then appears on the monitor, and Sonic jump scares at the screen, making Tom projectile shit on the wall behind him across the room. It's really crazy that that detail was specified in the story. Tom shuts off the computer and just sits in silence, contemplating his new shit painting. He comes to the conclusion that Sonic.exe is the true embodiment of evil and tricks people into playing his game so we can break them spiritually and emotionally to literally drag them into hell. Seriously, it really says that in the text. It's kind of a metaphor for what the Sonic fandom does to you in real life. But Tom is broken out of his train of thought when a voice behind him says, "Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom." And when he turns around, he sees, sitting on his bed, a Sonic plush with blood stains on it, smiling at him. This was my first time revisiting the original written story in closer to a decade than not. And after reading it with the somewhat fresh eyes of mine, I've noticed that there were just some really funny writing choices that I think give it this weird amateurish charm. Let me go over some of my favorites. It's good content, I swear. At the beginning, when Tom is just chilling on a Sunday afternoon, he says he was playing Sonic Unleashed, and specifies, in parentheses, "I liked how you get to explore the towns in it." In a story about how your friend got murked by digital Satan in the form of Sonic the Hedgehog, that was an important detail to include in the author's mind. At the end of the story, when Tom is sitting in stunned silence over his shit-painted walls, he guesses that he sat there for around exactly 25 seconds. That motherfucker was counting. Not just that, but he specifies that after specifically the 25 seconds have passed is when he heard the voice behind him. The amount of seconds really mattered to Tom in that moment, I guess. Everybody has their priorities, I suppose. It's little stupid details like that that make me fond of this story in a lot of ways. To me, all the small details, like specifically describing what parts of the game are from what other Sonic games, specifying that he recognized the laugh from Final Fantasy, knowing that some of the music was from different games, some of them outside of the Sonic franchise entirely. It's a lot of detail. To me, it comes across as some dude who just really liked Sonic and wanted to write a creepy story about them, whether they actually knew how to or not. I don't know. The story itself is not Pulitzer-worthy, but something about the way it is just really endearing to me. Maybe I'm just gay. The setup for the premise used in Sonic.exe took on a life of its own as well. It started the template of random gamer boy finds a copy of an old game they either like or wanted to try. They start playing the game and then things get just a little weird before escalating to literally murdering them in real life. That specific format has been done to death, and it's produced some stuff that I think has proven to be really impressive and in-depth, and others that were really good for shitposting with. Now, the story itself obviously has hit popularity in a way not a lot of things do, and as a creative work, it spawned hordes of shit inspired by it. It's got like its own sub-community within the Sonic fandom, and a lot of its own addendums to the lore of varying quality. The most well-known are probably just the straight-up readings of it. At least a few people got their careers going off of just narrating the creepypasta, and a whole lot of those videos probably acted as a lot of people's first gateway into hearing about the story itself. The imagery described in the creepypasta itself is very vivid and memorable, even if for the wrong reasons. Regardless, some talented people have brought those visuals to life. Some versions are a bit cartoonish, but others are genuinely unsettling to look at. People took a classic story and just fucking ran with it. Pun absolutely intended. How am I supposed to not sneak in at least one pun about going fast in a Sonic video? I'm honestly just pleasantly surprised with myself that it wasn't about finishing fast during sex. I'm growing up. I'm getting more mature. But of course, when talking about Sonic.exe fanworks, you can't not mention the games. For Christ's sake, the story is about a fake haunted horror game that kills anybody who plays it. It's basically human instinct to, of course, want the killer video game to be real. And boy, a lot of people have tried. The most ancient version I know of is like almost a decade old now, and it's stupidly well known. Markiplier played it in an 8 million view video, and I imagine having a playable version of a supposedly cursed game probably helped boost its popularity even more. I'm willing to bet a bunch of people didn't realize that what they were playing was just a fan-made recreation, and they thought this was the version that killed you in your sleep. Since then, a bunch of different variants of the Sonic.exe game have come out that it's almost a running gag how many of them there are. There's parodies of the fake game created to satirize it. It's incredible stuff. A lot of what I've mentioned up to this point are things that came in the immediate aftermath of Sonic.exe hitting the internet, things whose creation were directly tied to the creepypasta. But you'd be surprised to see how wide its influence spread. For example, if you didn't know, one of the songs from the Uncanny Mr. Incredible meme is actually the reverse Green Hill Zone music from the first level in the game. When I found that out, it was just a funny place to have seen that song turn up in again. This far down the line, Sonic.exe has also inspired new creations that, while drawing very heavy inspiration, have made their own stories from the ashes of the original creepypasta. The one I know the most about is this ARG series / analog horror. I'm not certain which genre it would fall into exactly, called Needlemouse. It very clearly shares a lot aesthetically with Sonic.exe. Full disclosure, I've watched it myself on twitch.tv/Kwite, and while I think it was well made, it didn't really click with me. But as an example of how the influence of Sonic.exe is still going strong to this day, it's very alive proof. Now, I started this video with talking about playing Friday Night Funkin', and it seems right to end it there too. Because when I think of works that have been clearly derived from Sonic.exe, this is the best example I can think of. Because when I think of works that have been clearly derived from the Sonic.exe creepypasta, God, I have said that word too many times in the last 10 minutes, that mod is the best example I can think of. Not only in its attention to detail, but also the level of raw craftsmanship involved with the project. I don't say it often because it's like something you get bullied for admitting, but I like Friday Night Funkin' a lot. I've played a lot of mods of it, and I think Sonic.exe is probably my favorite. The songs are appropriately hard and beat my ass succinctly, but it's just such a clear love letter to Sonic.exe as a weird little piece of internet culture, and just Sonic in all of his fandom's online debauchery as a whole. The menu music is the weird ambient airy one from the original fan game. The songs are named after the levels you play on for the different characters in the creepypasta. The Kefka laugh is worked into the composition of the music. They have audibles of the Sonic.exe character saying I am God, and all of this shit is among a plethora of other tiny details that I don't think I could physically find all of. This is without even mentioning the sound test songs, which are a bunch of hidden tracks you can play after beating the main week. Each one is like a hidden form of Sonic or an ode to a different creepypasta. Like there's a Tails doll hidden level. They have a song based off Magin Sonic, which was a Sonic with a funky face that you'd find on one of the older game's debug screens. It was freaky as hell to look at if you stumbled upon it by accident. But they had a song about motherfucking Fleetway Sonic. I bet most of you have no idea what the hell that is, but I do. And when a Sonic cocksucking schmuck like me sees a cut like that, a cut that's deep enough to touch bone if it was on your skin, it just makes me squeak. The point being, debate the quality of Sonic.exe all you want, its impact is undeniable, and I think it's a neat lesson on the power of community. What some might consider bad creative works can go on to inspire people to make their own great creative works. The power of art is everlasting or something cringe like that, but 10 years on, this pooey little story about how Sonic was bleeding out of his eyes is still getting top-tier media produced based off of it. To me, it's a gift that keeps on giving, and the fact that something like it was a part of so many people's childhoods has caused them to be fucked in the head as they grew up and motivated them to be creative on their own. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. There's a few other creepypastas like Sonic.exe that I would really like to do a kind of look back on, so if you'd want to see that, let me know. I've got plans. Remember to stream my new song, The Backrooms. It's better than anything Mozart ever put out. First link in the description. That end card I mentioned should be on screen now. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on, and don't go after anyone I mentioned today because that's cringe. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see you in hell.